Hey everybody, Just Jesse here, welcoming you back to another day of accountability and another day in my man cave, my garage. Today is Thursday, it's April 23rd in 2020, and I want to talk to you about courage. Today, courage is brought to you by Acts chapter 4, and it's going to talk about one person with courage is a majority. So let's get into it. Peter and John were proving their courage in Acts chapter 4, and both of them were thrown in jail for preaching and performing a miracle, and you could read that in verses 1 through 4. The rulers, elders, and teachers of the Sanhedrin got together because they don't like Jesus. And so many people were praising him out in the open. They were talking about somewhere around 5,000. And so they wanted to put a stop to it because, there's just this thing that Jesus' name brings when you really don't have Jesus in your heart. And it really makes people upset. And so when they asked Peter and John, when they were brought to him after they were arrested and in jail all night, they wanted to know, hey, whose name were you using to heal this guy? And why were you healing him? We know this guy. He's over 40. He's had this impairment his whole life. And so we know that some miracle happened. But we want to know who and why. So Peter and John wasted no time. They exclaimed it was Jesus of Nazareth. And it wasn't their own doing. Verse 10 says that. And so they told the leaders of the Sanhedrin even that there is no other way to salvation other than through Jesus' name. And that's in verse 12. So you can only imagine what these religious leaders thought when the guy that they just had murdered is still proclaimed as a miracle worker through the guys that Jesus was teaching for the last few years. So they obviously knew that it wasn't Peter and John's education, because these guys don't come from a real educated background. So they knew that it had to be that it was their time with Jesus. And that was in verse 13 if you wanted to read that. So a question that I have is, what do leaders need courage like, or what do leaders need courage like Peter and John had? And then all leaders need this courage to seek the truth. You'll never find yourself until you face the truth. So you'll never find yourself until you look in the mirror and you face the facts of what you need in order to overcome it. You are your own obstacle. So the next thing all leaders need courage for is for change. Courage is the power to let go of familiar, of comfort. If you're comfortable, then you're not changing, and we're called to change, and we're called to be bold and proclaim Jesus' name. We were called to have that courage. The next thing that leaders all need is courage shows express convictions. Convictions help us stand alone, and courage shows us courage, really what it shows us is that when we're the minority, it really comes to play. So like who you are in the dark determines your character. But when you're the only one, do you have what it takes to stand up and be that bold person? That's what courage is. All leaders need courage to overcome obstacles. If you have any obstacles in your life, it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever you do, somebody will always find fault with it. You'll never please both sides there's just this ongoing battle, and it's really just tiresome. But in order to overcome those obstacles, we need to expect that trouble. We need to know that it's coming, and we need to project courage. And if we don't project courage, then we need to work on that. The next thing that all leaders need courage to do is to learn and grow. If you haven't stepped out into faith, if you haven't tried something new, you really got to. If there's any time to learn and grow, it's when you step out in faith, when you say, okay, God, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to expect you to carry me the rest of the way. I'll take my step, just be there and catch me, and know that He'll be there every time. So the next thing all leaders need courage to do is to take the high road. There is no traffic jam on the second mile. It goes like with those workouts at the beginning of the year. Everybody's got that New Year's resolution. I'm going to work out all year, and then month 2 comes along, or mile 2 comes along, as they're saying right here. There's no traffic jam on the second mile. The second month, nobody's in the gym. So the last thing that all leaders need courage to do is to lead others. Leadership is an expression of courage that compels others to do the right thing. If it isn't for somebody to have courage to be a leader, then other people wouldn't follow and wouldn't be doing the right thing. So let's go ahead and let's find ourselves. Let's let go of the familiar. Let's stand up even when we're the minority, and especially when we're the minority. Let's project courage. Let's take a risk. Let's do something new. Let's keep trucking and do the right thing. As always is the basis of character, is to do the right thing even when nobody's looking. So if you guys have any issues with accountability or with courage, because you definitely need to have courage in order to be accountable, because the easiest thing to do to be unaccountable is to just stop because you don't have the courage to keep going. So if you need help with accountability, I'm here, and just ask away. You can go ahead and comment. You can reach out to me on social media. You can even text me if you have my number. If you really need that, I'm here for you. And if you need a little bit more courage, you can go ahead and reach out to your friends if we're not friends, or if you don't know who I am. But I would gladly love to get to know each and every person that's here. And go ahead and like the video if you do like it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell if you want these videos to come every day. So thanks for hanging out with me in my man cave. I know it's a little bit longer today, but I just got a little bit more passion with the term courage that I wasn't expecting as much, and so it's really nice to see that. So if anybody needs help, just ask. Share the video. If you see they're struggling, be there for them. That's who you are. You need to be that person of character. Be there for them. All right, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow.